My name's Joshua, and welcome to the first Catholic Summer Missions Experience podcast. I am hoping with this podcast, along with some of my friends, to educate more people about the Catholic faith and to draw them closer to the Catholic Church. Today is the 12th Sunday in Ordinary Time of this Eucharistic year. I'd like to actually go over the Gospel today with you guys as an introduction episode. And over the course of each episode, I'll be able to explain more and more about my story and my faith journey. So here's the gospel for this week. It comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. On that day, as evening drew on, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us cross to the other side." Leaving the crowd, they took Jesus with them in the boat just as he was. And other boats were with him. A violent squall came up, and waves were breaking over the boat, so that it was already filling up. Jesus was in the stern, asleep on a cushion. They woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up, rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Quiet, be still." The wind ceased, and there was great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you terrified? Do you not yet have faith?" They were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this whom even wind and sea obey?" The Gospel of the Lord. So this week, the Gospel is a reminder that we are to always place our trust in Jesus. Because even though we don't know his ways, his way is true. Why is it true? Well, nobody knows the answer to that question, really. But as you can see, he simply spoke to the wind and to the sea and told them to be still. And instantly, the storm calmed down so that the disciples could make it home. Furthermore, in this gospel, Jesus is proclaiming to his disciples, to his apostles specifically, that sometimes we don't have faith. But we should have faith always. Because when you start questioning the things that God does, that's when it allows temptation and sin to creep into our lives. And in this gospel, he speaks so simply to his disciples and says, "Why are you terrified?" Such a simple question. Why are you terrified? Why are you afraid? What in your life right now is making you afraid to turn to Jesus, to turn to God? And it is faith, as Jesus explains, that allows you to draw yourself closer to God, right? Faith is what causes us to not be terrified. Because when you don't have faith, you don't have trust. And when you don't have that trust with God and in his ways, that leads us to sin more. Another part of this week's readings is the second reading from St. Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, where he says, "Brothers and sisters, the love of Christ impels us. Once we have come to the conviction that one died for all, therefore all have died. He indeed died for all, so that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised. Consequently, from now on, we regard no one according to the flesh. Even if we once knew Christ according to the flesh, yet now we know him so no longer. So whoever is in Christ is a new creation. The old things have passed away. Behold, new things have come." So letting that reading kind of sink in a little bit, it really dives deeper into something that I got to experience this summer, which is being a missionary for the Lord, where we are called to evangelize to others. We're not called to dwell in this idea that, yes, Jesus came down, he was flesh. So in church, we have, priests and stuff. We have material flesh human beings in this world. But that doesn't mean that we have to rely on them for everything. We are called to pray on our own to God, to ask him questions, to ask him for forgiveness. And it's these human-like desires that allow us to be like Christ, because Christ came down as a human, but he acted like God as a human on earth. So in this second reading, it's calling us as missionaries to be something new, to teach others the ways of Christ, and not to dwell on the idea that we're human and we're just human. We're not just human. We're so much more than just human. We are God's children. We are loved by God. We are called to profess the faith to others. And that's what I hope to do through this podcast with you guys. I hope to profess my faith to you, to answer your questions, and to overall just be a resource for those who are Catholic, for those who are struggling Catholic, even for those who aren't Catholic. If you're Christian of another denomination and you're not so sure about some of the things that we do, just ask. Alrighty, so that's going to bring us to the close of this episode and this week. I hope to start posting these episodes at least once a week, but for some of the more key topics in the faith, I'd also like to post some midweek episodes as well. I'm not sure when those will come out, but at the very least, every week there will be a posting like this talking about the Sunday readings and diving deeper into how they connect into my faith life. And hopefully it'll allow time for there to be answers for the questions that some of you have, and hopefully it'll allow us to all grow closer to God. In God's love, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, afternoon, or night, depending on what time you're watching this. And I pray for all of you, and I pray that we all have a peaceful week. Anyways, this is the end of the first CSME podcast episode.